no matter who you are, dating is hard. But when you add the element of like, having a lot of drive and working a lot, which means like you might not have all the time in the world to give to someone else. Like I can't cater to you. You have to kind of be on my level. And the last relationship that I was in, he was very talented, but I just felt like he didn't have the drive that I had. And I feel like that really slowed me down. All the other people I've dated before that were always very driven. And I feel like that you need that when you're like a powerful woman like us. We have big goals. We want to be with someone that's going to be able to like handle us, but also be the man and take the lead too. Because we don't want to be in control of everything. At least I don't.
Yeah, nor do I. And that is something I talk about, something I always say, like that I identify as a feminist. I'm sure you can relate to that. But I think that a feminist in the way that it is modern day probably would not be a huge fan of mine, because that is like, at the end of the day, I want a man who is assertive and who takes care of things and who takes care of me. And that, there's a lot of controversy around that, like modern day right now, of if you're a strong, independent woman, then you shouldn't need a man. Okay, but maybe I want one, maybe I want to be taken care of.
Yeah, to me, it's not even about like want versus need. Like we all want human interaction with someone. We all want to be loved. And when we're loving, we're sharing the best that life has to offer, like our best selves. And we're so happy. Love is what it's all about. In the end of the day, that's how we come into the world. Hopefully, we're creators. I'm just saying, not everyone, but it's like love is powerful. You know what I mean? So we want to share that with someone, but also in a healthy way. Like when you work a lot, at least I've learned over time, I have to be protective of my energy. I have meetings and calls and things scheduled back to back all throughout the day. If I have a relationship or anyone, a friendship that's toxic or that can throw a wrench in my day, even though of course we always have bad days because life happens, I have to be in control of that. Like I have to pick and choose what I deal with at certain times, because I can't risk my whole day getting ruined and like, disappointing all the people that I'm working with. So it's just a lot more that goes into it that I've realized as I've kind of matured and started my career and became much more structured in how I do everything and knowing exactly what I want, which I feel like you can have it all. Why do you have, if you're a driven woman or man, or even if you don't care if you're not super driven, but you want to be successful in a comfortable life and not work 24/7, still want to share it with someone and be happy. You don't want to be like stressed out,
Right. Yeah. The connection is still important. With this relationship that ended for you with the person who wasn't as driven, did it end because of that? Like, because he didn't understand your lifestyle, or he gave you shit about it?
We're just not compatible, and not to say it in a bad way. He's very smart and we were great friends, and it was like a friendship that kind of turned into more. But at the end of the day, we want very different things. And I just kind of feel like he didn't get me. Like, I think he looked at me like not to say he's not successful, but he doesn't have a lot of money. Like I had to pay for everything that we did, everything we ate, everything we did, which I didn't mind that. But at a certain point, like I want to be, I shouldn't have to do all the work. Like I'm a powerful woman. Why should I have to take care of someone else all the time? Get dressed up, take me out to dinner. We go on.
You have to pay.
Yeah, like I would, which I don't care, because I take my friends out, I take my family out, I feed strangers on the street. Like that's just my character. So I don't care about that at all. But at the same time, like if you're just not compatible and you don't see eye to eye on where you're going in life and what you want to do, I feel like he would look at me and my career and look at it as if like you have to cater to the 1%, as if it was like a bad thing. Like you have to put up with whatever people want. He looked kind of, I don't want to say down on it, but it made me feel like he looked down on it. I don't know if it's because he's not doing that, or I don't know. I love my job, so I didn't look at it that way, but our perspectives were not aligned. And I think there's a lot to do with it.
So tell me, like, so I hear that you don't mind paying for things, which I can completely relate with that. Like I'm work as hard as I do so that I can support myself and my loved ones. And I totally relate to that. But when it comes to like going on a first date, this is something I talk to women empower about quite a bit. How do you handle that first date check? Do you try to pay?
Honey, you got something. Tell me. If I go on a date with you and you don't pay for the check, that will be the last date.
Okay, thank you.
I never went on dates with him. We would the thing I liked in the beginning is because we were just like friends. That's why I said it was a friendship that turned, we knew each other for years already. He would come to my house. We would hang out and watch movies, go for walks with my dog. We would do things like that.
Right.
So it was like the normal things that with my past relationships, not all of them, but the one before, like they were very structured. They're so successful that like you're, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but like, so like your naps are timed. Like with one of my exes, like everything is on a schedule for the most part. So it was nice to be with someone where it's like he wanted to sleep in my house and live my life with me, not me living their life. And when you're with people that are really successful, most of the time you're living their life no matter what, because they have their shit going on. You got to like go to them. It's about them. And I there's a part of me that doesn't like that, but then it's kind of like whichever powerful man is going to like demand the most attention and keep up with me when I'm busy is the one that's going to get my attention, because I don't want to be chased, but at the same time, I don't have the time to like baby you. And I don't want to be called a million times a day or, you know, all of that. I want consistency, but I don't know. It has to be a good flow. And if
but you want to be pursued, I'm sure. Like
of
that.
Course.
Yes.
They need to be the man. Be the man.
Right. I think that is, so when you're talking about being in this, like, that's kind of like the flip side of it. So when you're in relationship with these successful men, do you feel like they don't have enough time for you? Do you find yourself, okay, what is usually the demise of those relationships? Like what usually leads to the end of them?
I think before this last boyfriend that I'm speaking of, the one before that, I think we were together for a long time. So he hasn't changed a lot through the course of the relationship, but I have changed a lot. I work on myself a lot. I evolve all the time. Like I'm always wanting to learn more about like the spiritual side. And then I'm wanting to grow in my career. I want to grow through therapy and become more knowledgeable. Like I like to evolve and grow. And to me, that's my like biggest commitment. Like I want to reach my ultimate potential. That's my commitment to myself. So I want someone else that kind of lets me do that, you know, lets me be me and understands that. And it's kind of hard. When I'm with the super successful men, I love that because I'm attracted to smarts. If you're not smart and intelligent, like these conversations that we're having, I'm so passionate about people and just having conversations. I heard you say that, I think yesterday in one of your interviews. I watched a little bit of your live with the guy.
Yes.
I just watched like 5 minutes because I knew I was going to chat with you today. And I loved briefly what I heard you, you know, you're like, I'm passionate about these conversations with people. Yeah. And that resonated with me because I'm like, you know what? That's really how I feel. Like I'm passionate about people and I'm passionate about myself and also like pushing others. But I need that. Like, I want to be pushed.
Yeah. The challenge. And that's the struggle that I run into when, you know, maybe somebody is not as driven or not as focused, might even be a different word to use, or so busy, but not really like not moving forward, you know, just like scrambling, but not really making sense of that time. And that is something that I like get frustrated with and I struggle with is like keeping up with me, but then also it's like you're saying, it's the push and pull of it, but I'm really like the intelligent conversation and that drive is such a turn on to me. Like I want to know that somebody can keep up with it. But so that's why I was asking you, you know, what was the demise of it? Because I think it's this push and pull. So like as successful women or driven women, we're attracted to the dominant driven man. But then we run into the situation of them potentially not having enough time for us. But on the flip side, if we date somebody who is not quite to that level, like you're saying, they come across as needy or they have a little too much time on their hand. So it's like, where is the gray area of that? Like, do you struggle to find the in between?
Or I'll end up where it's like, I've worked on myself a lot to like change. I've been attracted to narcissists in the past from family dynamics. I've learned so much about myself, but I've ended up with men that are like, they communicate less than I do.
Right.
Where it's either one is communicating all the time and I'm being chased, or even if they're not doing like, what are you doing every day? If you're not like running a business and you're just sitting and you're at home all the time, you're not communicating with me, you're not working all the time. So like, then I'll run into that too. Is that the unavailable man that I'm attracting because I'm so busy with my own life? Well, you know, I run into that too. Like, I wonder, like the balance is hard. So, you know,
right. The chicken and the egg.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. For you, how do you feel? Do you like run into men that are unavailable, or are they chasing you, or do you have like a type that keeps happening? Or
Yeah, unfortunately, I do have a
what
type.
is it?
The
Tell me.
emotionally unavailable. My
See, that's
type
what
is
I'm
men without time. Yeah.
yeah, because I also, with my life, the way I grew up, my parents don't call me 24/7. Like, I created myself in my life. I did not have parents teach me structure. They did not call and check up on me. Like, I'm my own human, and I
Yeah.
grew up very fast. So I feel like when people call too much and check up too much, I also
Mhm.
kind of get irritated by that
Yeah.
because I'm not used to that. Like, and I feel
Right.
like smothered by that. I don't know, which I'm trying not to be, but I've had exes like that too, where I knew they cared about me and they were very consistent. But then when they're too consistent, I'm like, give me a
So
break.